Hello, happy Monday, and welcome back to this channel. We are going to get into it, boys and girls, right away, okay? Because the lawyers are fighting. And they are fighting, and Blake Lively has now just called for some sanctions against BRYAN FREEDMAN, and the judge has come back and made an order, and there's just so much going on. Like, oh my gosh, there is so much going on. So without further ado, we are first just going to go dive right into the court dockets of It Ends With Never, and then I'm just going to end off with what I did yesterday and show you a little bit of some videos and some pictures of how beautiful my day was yesterday at Toronto Island. So if you're ready, I'm ready. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Before we get into it, and before I go into it and we dive into the nasty, the crazy, the lies, the BS of this court case, I would like to just take this moment right now and celebrate a booking. Yes, guys. I told you on Friday I was on hold for a commercial, and I found out today I will be on set this week. I booked it, so I'm so excited. Back on set again. I'm super pumped. So, allow me to just geek out for a moment and enjoy this moment of booking. Yes! I'm so excited. Of course, I'll let you guys know how everything goes. I'm just super pumped to be back on set. So thank you all so much for all of your love and support. We did it. We got a booking, and I will be on set this week, either Thursday or Friday. Now, let's get into it. Grab your emotional support lip gloss because this has just taken a turn and it is so crazy. Today, I am wearing e.l.f. It's super cute. e.l.f., I love that they've stayed consistent with their price. So you're not spending like $25, $30 on lip glosses, okay? You are just... It is price affordable, okay, definitely. And this is the Glow Reviver. It is a lip oil with a glimmer finish. And I just think it is so cute. It definitely gives you the shine. Nice hydration. It's a great color. Today I am wearing color Princess Cut. Ooh, a little princess treatment. I didn't even know that was called before I put it on. And I also went and picked up this second one here because I just love that shade. Like, look at that glimmer. And this one is called, let's see, Crystal Baller. So I'll wear this one on Wednesday. But today I am wearing the Princess Cut. It's nice. It's nice hydration, guys. It is good, and it gives you a little bit of a glow. So check it out, e.l.f.'s Glow Revival for your lips. It's a beautiful treatment oil. Grab your lip gloss because we are going in because, oh my gosh, Blake is a victim. Oh my gosh, Blake is kind of the girl that as soon as there is one raindrop in the sky, she is running around the town saying the sky is falling. Everything is an attack. Everything is bullying. Everything is like... Girl, there are real victims in the world and you're not one of them. And over the weekend, I was really thinking because I had saw these letters that were filed on Friday. And I just kind of was like, no, time out. I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off. I need a Blake break. You feel me? So I was reading them. But what really got me thinking over the weekend and what I think makes me so mad and infuriated almost about all of the things that they have done, her and her husband, Reynolds, about everything that they've done and everything that Blake Lively has done and lied about. I mean, openly lying to the judge multiple times now, just lying. And I think, the movie takeover and everything that she did on set. And I mean, out of everything that she's done, which have been horrible, I think what makes me the most angry and the most disgusted is the way that she weaponizes Justin Baldoni's trauma and she just weaponizes it and uses it against him in the court documents and in her own amended complaint. Now, Justin has been very vocal about his trauma, about being a victim himself, about being sexually assaulted and how that was such a pivotal point in change. And then for Blake to take that, obviously he trusted her enough to have this conversation about it, and thought that Blake was at a level where you can have these open conversations about healing, about harassment about assault and what that does to you and change. Clearly, she's not capable of having those conversations. But then for him to openly talk to her about his assault and how that changed him and what it did to him and affected him, for her to then use it and weaponize it against him in her court docket, I think to me is so vile. And it's one of the things that makes me the most angry, because if you've ever been in a relationship with someone or a friendship or what have you, right? Usually I feel like it comes from relationships or just maybe not bad parents, but parents, or that kind of like relationship, right? You can talk to them about things that have happened to you or trauma. And this happened to me with a very narcissistic ex-boyfriend years ago. And actually my last relationship 5 years ago. And, I opened up to him about my drug addiction from in my teenage years to in my early 20s, and how I got myself clean. I did it about myself. I did a lot of therapy. It was crazy, right? The things that you have to do, and how I had to find a lot of forgiveness in myself for hurting others as well as hurting and allowing people to hurt me, and like the strength it takes to kind of overcome that. And I remember he would then take that and like use it against me sometimes, like, oh, you think you're so strong just because you went through that, or da 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 da, or not everyone's like you, but and it happened to me again over the weekend with someone who like weaponized trauma that I told them about, something that happened to me last year and how it changed me and all of this stuff, and he kind of like weaponized it against me to like prove a point. And it got me really thinking about why I was so angry with Blake, how she kept bringing up Justin's, message and his abuse and his violation and used it against him. And I think that is just so wrong. And I think it's one of the cruelest things you can do to someone when they trust you enough to open up about their experiences. Let's get into it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say there. Let's go. These court dockets, let's just look at... Let's start with number one, okay? Usually on Monday, I show you all the court dockets of everything that we missed since Friday. I'm just going to go right into the court dockets because I've already had them queued up and it's just nutty. We're going to start with Blake Lively, yet again, crying wolf, crying victim. As I've been keeping you guys informed, we started in California with Blake Lively subpoenaing the Wayfarer Council. Yes, Freeman, Liner, Telly and Cooley LLP. She's asking all of the lawyers, not just Brian Freeman here, okay? All communications with all of the lawyers there, because she fully believes or wants us to believe or has her lawyers believing, or what is it? I don't know what's going on here. But she is trying to, say that Brian Freeman and their lawyers are part of the smear campaign as well. And yeah, Brian Freeman's at the head of the smear campaign and he's been doing it and whatever. So they had in California, the judge there was like, no. Go back to New York. I'm not dealing with this. You got to deal with Judge Lyman. It's messy. It's too messy for me. Okay. It's too messy. I'm not touching it. So then it went back to the judge. Last week they had an oral argument with Judge Lyman, and where they were basically saying, it's workplace doctrine, and also some of the requests that she's looking for do not exist because we didn't pay any content creators. What she's seeking, it doesn't exist. So after that conversation on Friday, Blake Lively's people filed this letter to the judge about the interrogatories that they were asking for from the opposing counsel, which it already sounds nuts to even subpoena the opposing counsel is crazy work. This is, I feel like, an abuse of the court system. It's wasting a lot of money. It's wasting a lot of time. And I think what they were trying to do is distract people, not only from Van Zandt, but have the Baldoni Wayfarer lawyers spend their time on this so that they can't spend all of their time on the other stuff that they're uncovering. Just a theory. But however, this is what they had to say. We write to address certain questions raised by the court and answer given during the July 30th. Wow, let me restart that. We write to address certain questions raised by the court and answers given during the July 30th, 2025 hearing on the Liner Freedman Tailman plus Cooley LLP's motion to quash the Liner subpoena. During the hearing, the court posed questions regarding certain interrogatories propounded by Ms. Lively to the Wayfair defendants. In response, undersigned counsel referred to the interrogatories that Ms. Lively has propounded, including interrogatory requests with the Wayfair parties identify all content creators and reporters and news or media outlets with whom they have communicated in any manner concerning Ms. Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the CRD complaint, the actions, the Lively Reynolds companies, or the digital campaign from May 1st to the present. The interrogatories and all other discovery requests propounded to the Wayfair defendants in this action define you to include the applicable Wayfair defendant and anyone else acting or perpetrating to act on their behalf and anyone on whose behalf they are acting. We respectfully write to clarify that in response to the interrogatories that each defendant objected to, redacted, counsel for Ms. Lively previously met and conferred with the Wayfair defendants regarding this objection in connection with other issued discovery, and following those conferrals, the Wayfair defendants indicated that they interpret da-da-da-da-da. In other words, they would not interpret da-da-da-da-da. Accordingly, the Wayfair defendants do not appear to have produced or included on their privileged log any communications by their counsel, and it does not appear that their responses to the interrogatories identify content creators or reporters or media outlets with whom their counsel have communicated. They don't need to give you that. Why would the Wayfair people just give you all of their communications with their lawyers? What world are we living in? Delulu land, okay, Blake? Further, the court posed certain questions relating to privilege issues that could arise with respect to request number 7 and 8 regarding sources. For the avoidance of doubt, Ms. Lively did not intend for the subpoena to capture privileged communications exclusively with the Wayfair defendants or those with the Wayfair defendants and third parties that have been produced through party productions, and is amenable to a narrowing of the subpoena in that respect. Well, if you're willing to narrow it, then why did you even ask for it in the first place? And of course you were looking for the communications with their lawyers. Come on, girl, or you wouldn't have done all of this in the first place, okay? Ms. Lively also agrees that the subpoena could be narrowed further to exclude from the scope of the request any memoranda internal to Liner or work product prepared by counsel reflecting Liner's communications with sources. That being said, Liner's actual communications with third-party sources are not privileged because they are not client communications and they do not reflect attorney mental impressions. If counsel chose in this case to perform a publicist functions, the documents prepared in the connection cannot be shielded by work product rule. Finally, the court inquired into the burden imposed upon Liner by the subpoena. Ms. Lively respectfully notes that this case is distinguishable from many of the others cited in the papers, in part because Liner was given clear advance notice on December 23, 2024, that Mr. Freeman had defamed Ms. Lively and that this conduct had amounted to public relations work other than of an attorney. Says who, beat? TICH? Says who? You say, y'all are both playing games because your lawyers talk to People, Variety, they've been on TMZ, they've been on CNN, for crying out loud. Some would say the same thing about you. Remember that little false victory lap that y'all ran and your lawyers sat up there on CNN? Yes, ma'am. I remember. So who are you to say that what Freeman is doing is more PR than it is being a lawyer? He's advocating for his clients, which he has every right to do. And the fact that they warned him in December that if he kept continuing to talk about this case, that it would be defamation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They threatened him. And they threatened him just like the way they were trying to silence all of the content creators. They don't want anyone opposing them at all. They want everyone silenced, including the Wayfair people and their lawyers. So what, they're just supposed to lay down like a carpet and let you walk all over them, let you have free reign in the public? You've used the PR and the publications more, I would say. All you do is PR stunts. Let's go back to the Van Zandt. Let's go back to Taylor Swift. Let's go back to all of the times that you've had like comments, saying comments I bet it's more than the times that Bryan Freeman spoke. But I digress. Let's continue, shall we? Because victim, victim, bully, bully, bully. You say one thing against Blake, even if it's the truth, and you're bullying her and you're defaming her and whatever. Even if you're the opposing counsel, you can't say anything. Even if it's true, you can't say anything. You're not even allowed to give your opinions. I mean, next I'm gonna get subpoenaed here or arrested just from talking bad about Blake Lively. I mean, what's next? Are we all going to jail? I mean, this is just so crazy. Apparently, you can't say nothing about Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, it's just so jokes. We continue. Okay, let me get through this because it's just so funny. Right. So on December 23rd, they sent a letter to Bryan Freeman saying that he defamed Blake Lively and his conduct had amounted to public relations work rather than that of an attorney. Lawyers are not publicity agents. We are required to follow a different set of professional standards than publicists and crisis managers. At the same time, counsel specifically advised Mr. Freeman that he was a fact witness to the unlawful retaliation against Ms. Lively and as such instructed Mr. Freeman and Liner to preserve their documents, including without limitation all documents, electronically stored information, and metadata in their possession, custody, or control that relate to or are reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of evidence related to this matter in any way. Given this, Liner was on notice no later than December 23rd that Mr. Freeman was a fact witness in this matter and that further public attacks on Miss Lively would be subject to discovery request if not liability. Having ignored that notice, Liner cannot now claim that providing the preserved documents about which Miss Lively gave Liner notice more than 6 months ago constitutes undue burden or unfair surprise. Well, knowing this, doesn't Bryan Freeman just seem more of like a hero than ever, a champion of sorts for the Wayfair people? Because he could have sat down and stayed quiet. He could have taken their threats, literal threats against him to not speak for his clients, and he didn't. He's still knowing that Blake's crazy goes all the way to the top. He still chose to defend his clients in public and be a champion and use his voice for the voiceless, who right now are the Wayfair parties. And what's so wild, and now that everyone is talking about, is that they pull up the Megyn Kelly interview. That's what they did. So they had someone to transcribe the entire interview he did on the Megyn Kelly show. And he didn't say nothing that wasn't true. And they're saying, oh, well, he called Blake Lively a bitch and he said all of this stuff. Nah, Megyn Kelly did. And even if Bryan Freeman did, where's the lie? Just kidding. But it is kind of crazy. Like, the judge can just literally watch that interview back and see that it wasn't Bryan Freeman that said anything. He didn't even agree. He didn't say nothing. It was really Megyn Kelly that went off on her little rant. And she was the one that called Blake a B word and, was pretty much saying all of the things that they thought. And the truth is everything that Megyn said was the truth. The buzz around town was that Blake Lively's mean to journalists. She took over this movie. She bullied Justin. And that she's just pulling this in order to save her reputation. And she seems like kind of a bitch. Well, okay. But anyway, the Wayfair people, we have a lot to get into. So the Wayfair people come back and they wrote this letter to the judge. They have all of the, people that are involved, all of the Wayfair people. And this is concerning the Liner Freeman motion to quash the subpoena. To justify the harassing subpoena, this letter erroneously alleges that Bryan Freeman defamed Lively and that his conduct had amounted to public relations work rather than that of an attorney. It appears that Lively is slowly realizing that there is no retaliatory smear campaign by the Wayfair parties against her. Consequently, Lively is shifting her focus to Liner Freeman in connection with her 14th cause of action, which alleges that certain Wayfair parties, through their attorney Bryan Freeman, purportedly defamed her via post-litigation statements to the media. Upon questioning by Freeman at her recent deposition, so Brian Freeman was the one to depose her, okay, Lively admitted that the only ongoing smear campaign about which she has personal knowledge involves counterclaims filed without retaliatory motive and with a reasonable basis in fact and law, such as the claims filed by the Wayfair parties against Lively, do not constitute an adverse employment action within the meaning of anti-discrimination statutes. Moreover, statements by the Wayfair parties to the media directly or through their counsel defending themselves against Lively's bogus claims of harassment do not qualify as retaliatory conduct. As for the 14th cause of action for defamation, New York law provides an absolute privilege for communications made by individuals participating in a public function, such as executives, legislative, judicial, or quasi-judicial proceedings. The privilege is accorded statement made by all stages of a judicial proceeding in communications among the parties, witnesses, counsel, and the court, provided that the statements made be considered in some way pertinent to the issues in the proceeding. The privilege applies to all statements made in or out of court, and regardless of the motive for which they were made. In short, Lively is aggressively pursuing discovery for a defamation claim that will surely be dismissed upon a dispositive motion. So it looks like maybe they're about to file some motions for dismissals, y'all, because yeah, she's asking for all of this stuff. It doesn't even make sense, especially now that we know a little bit about the deposition, that she doesn't think there's actually a smear campaign, or can't actually, even at this point, at this stage of the game, pinpoint where it is, where it came from, how it worked, who it was. I mean, because it's non-existent, okay? It's non-existent. There's no smear campaign, especially from Brian Freedman. Like, that's so crazy. In any event, Lively does not adequately address the court's inquiry concerning the undue burden imposed by Liner Freedman by the subpoena. According to Lively, the subpoena is not only unduly burdensome because of, on December 23, 2024, days after Lively caused her allegations in her California civil rights complaint to be widely disseminated by the New York Times, her counsel demanded that Liner Freedman cease and desist from, in essence, publicly responding thereto on behalf of the Wayfair parties. Therefore, according to Lively, Liner Freedman has known for more than 6 months that she may seek discovery from the law firm. However, at the hearing on the motion, the court astutely asked Lively's counsel why discovery was needed from Liner Freedman via the subpoena in connection with the defamation claim if Lively knows which statements are at issue. Right. So you're asking, even in her amended complaint, which we went through in the last videos, there's a part 1 and a part 2, we go through all of the statements that Brian Freeman made that she's saying is defamation. So if you know the sources and you know when, where, and to whom he said that, why do you need the documents then? You already know because you cited from them. Hello. Lively had no viable response at the hearing and does not offer one now. Lively had no viable response at the hearing and does not offer one now. Indeed, the second amended complaint not only identifies the specific statements made by Freedman that Lively contends were defamatory, but also conveniently provides links to the publications. In brief, Lively knows to whom the statements at issue were made, where they were published, and when, which renders the subpoena unnecessary and unduly burdensome. The motion should be granted. And then they submit the Exhibit A, which is the transcript from Blake Lively's deposition taken on July 31st, 2025, and it's sealed. You can't get to it. And if there was ever a document I wish I could get my hands on, but it's completely sealed, okay? And they only put that in order for the judge to refer to the time slot that they put into their letter. It's sealed. No one can see it. But do you think Blake Lively liked the fact that they referenced her deposition? Or do you think she had and is having currently, probably right now as we speak, a meltdown? Do you think she was okay with it? Or you think she's having a meltdown? I'll let you decide in 3, 2, a meltdown, a complete meltdown. Now she's asking for sanctions. Oh my God, it's just, she's gone over the top, cray, cray, cray. And yes, in her world right now, the sky surely is falling because, oh my gosh. And the Wayfair people let everyone know that it's sealed, right? And that Blake Lively can unseal it if she chooses, and or choose to request to have it continue to seal. Is this a little bit of a game? Yeah, of course, but aren't both sides playing games? May the best lawyer play the best game, you know what I'm saying? Lively has been in control this entire time of the court, abusing the courts, lying. So many lies. Should we go over all of the lies? The meet and confers. That was a lie. She never met and conferred with most of the content creators. The 107 content creators. The Van Zandt. Should we go back to lawyers playing games, lying, unethical? Okay, there are so many things that they do. Her counsel, which is cuckoo bananas, unethical, immoral, probably on the side of also illegal, but we haven't got there yet, okay? But they do say in the letter, Exhibit A is the transcript from Blake Lively's deposition, which was conducted on the July 31st. The transcript has been designated as confidential by Miss Lively. In accordance with Rule 4B of Attachment A, we respectfully request that the court not rule on this letter motion to seal for 1 week so that the parties can meet and confer, and Miss Lively may file a motion for continued sealing if she so chooses. So yeah, I mean, is it a little game now? They're saying that Blake Lively has to let us know that she wants to continue to seal it. Yeah, because then people may or may not be like, well, why does she want to continue to seal it if there's nothing there? But really, it is up to her. I mean, we haven't gone to the trial yet. Once we're at the trial, everything from that deposition, as long as it's not attorney eyes only, we're gonna know anyway, because baby girl, you're gonna have to take the stand. Okay, so, but it is under seal, but let the meltdown begin. This is just one of 3 of the letters that the Lively people have submitted to the court ever since Kevin Fritz submitted that letter, as well as the Wayfair people put a sealed document of the deposition, okay? No one can see it. Really, it's not, everything is not big and an attack and it's all out war, you know? It's just like, guys, we're sick. I'm so tired of Blake Lively still playing victim, still saying everything is an attack, still being bullied. Stand up and fight, girl. What are you talking about? You're not, you're not always a victim of every little single thing. Not everything is a hit 100%. Not everything is freaking war all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's acting like every single thing that the Wayfarer people do is like this further abuse, and it's crazy, and everything's an attack, and everything is harassment, and oh my gosh, girl, it's exhausting, okay? You are exhausting. This mindset that you have that you want us to believe in is exhausting, okay? Not everything is like an attack on you. Sometimes they are just doing their job as lawyers the best that they can, okay? Get it together, okay? Get it together, because you're gone crazy and your lawyers are letting you. This is the first letter before we get into the sanctions, okay? Miss Lively respectfully moves to strike the Wayfair defendant's letter attaching the entire uncertified rough draft transcript of Miss Lively's confidential deposition testimony, and to deny the letter motion to seal as mute. In rushing to file on the public docket the entirety of the 292-page transcript on the day they received it, with no plausible legal reason to do so, the Wayfair defendants and their counsel have proved Miss Lively's point. The transcript was ostensibly filed in support of their argument that there is no basis to assert that Bryan Freedman or his law firm have participated in, fueled, and advanced the smear campaign against Miss Lively, such that their conduct has amounted to public relations work rather than that of an attorney. But in fact, this tactic perfectly demonstrates the counsel as PR agent role, because there is no conceivable legal purpose to file the whole transcript, particularly given that it has not been reviewed, corrected, or finalized, and a mere 2 pages of it were cited in their argument. It's sealed. No one can see it. Why are y'all freaking out so bad about something that is sealed? Do you know what I mean? Like, this doesn't prove anything. Now you're saying, oh, this further proves that Bryan Freedman is smearing Blake Lively by filing something officially in the court docket? the way I just can't sometimes, most of the times, all the time with her lawyers. I just can't, okay? Because we already know. We already know what they've done. What they've done is so shady. I can't get over the Van Zandt. I can't get over the lies. I can't get over subpoenaing 107 content creators. I can't get over all of the gaslighting. I can't do it, okay? The letter and attachment should be seen for what they are, a manufactured excuse to force the transcript into the public domain as a fodder for the Wayfair defendants' media campaign. It is surely not lost on the Wayfair defendants that given the pending motion to seal, the burden is on Miss Lively to file a letter motion explaining the particular reasons for seeking to keep any of the 292 pages of the transcript under seal. So then keep it under seal, okay? Seal it, don't seal it. Some of it seal it, partial seal it. You're gonna do it anyway. It was going to be into the court anyway. So what is the problem? You're gonna have to testify. It's gonna come out in the wash, baby. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the truth is going to come out. So and they're your answers. They're your words. It's your deposition. So unless you were a liar, pants on fire again, and you don't want the internet sleuths to find out every single lie that you've told that day and have been telling, what are we doing? What is going on? The Wayfair defendants and their counsel hope to make Miss Lively defend the continued sealing of the transcript so they can advance a false narrative that Miss Lively is afraid of her deposition testimony becoming public, which is entirely untrue and deeply harmful. You don't know what their hopes, wishes, thoughts, beliefs are. You have no idea. Even for you to just say that they hope to do this, you don't know that. You're literally just making up things up, you know? Miss Lively affirmatively pursued in this litigation with the full intention and desire to have her testimony heard in a legal process governed by the rules of evidence, which publicly filing this rough draft transcript in this manner substantially undermines. To suggest otherwise is part of an ongoing character attack that Mr. Freedman had been advancing to undermine Miss Lively's credibility and taint the jury pool. That is not a proper use of confidential discovery material of this court's docket. That is not a proper use of confidential discovery material or this court's docket. Oh, you want to talk about using the court's docket? Let's talk about it, okay? And you know, it is true. Maybe Wayfair did do it. I mean, it's a good move, but they're both playing. They got to be the best lawyers. Like, you know what I mean? So defend it, don't defend it, seal it, don't seal it. Like, but not everything has to be this huge thing. Like, they could have just filed a letter to the court saying we want to continue sealing for these reasons, period, point blank. Big deal. But now that you're crying wolf and crying, the sky is falling, they're attacking me, stop attacking me. It's like, it makes you look even worse because how long is this going to go on for? Accordingly, Miss Lively respectfully requests that the court strike the uncertified rough draft transcript from the record and order the Wayfair defendants to file only that portion of the transcript cited in their August 1st letter, which portion should be filed under seal, granting Miss Lively's motion to strike Cancel's inflammatory letter because the sole purpose of the letter was to promote public scandal. It's under seal. There was no scandal. We got nothing. It didn't matter. It didn't mean anything because we couldn't see it. Consistent with their goal of creating a media circus around Miss Lively's deposition, it also appears that the Wayfair defendants immediately leaked details from the deposition to the tabloid media. They began selectively sharing from a source in the room that Mr. Baldoni was in attendance. How do you know that it was from the Wayfair people? Because you had 8 lawyers there, Blake, plus your husband, who I believe is your biggest op, your biggest enemy, and your sister, who probably her whole life has been jealous of you because she was also an actor in the 90s, and then you came up, and then your parents just fostered you to be the star of the family. So you have 2 of your biggest ops right there. So how do we know that it wasn't Ryan Reynolds or your sister Robin Lively who leaked the deposition? You can't just go around just stating this stuff like this is defamatory if it's not true, if you don't literally have information that it's actually true. This is a lie, right? So like you're crying that they are defaming you by saying things in the docket that you don't think are true, but then you're literally coming out here and saying that they leaked the deposition. But again, I digress. This began by selectively sharing from a source in the room that Mr. Baldoni was in attendance, apparently to advance a storyline that the deposition was face-to-face showdown between Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively. The next day, more leaks from a source close to the deposition described in detail Miss Lively's attire. So you're saying Brian Freedman and the Wayfair parties, what they leaked, what they care so much about, what they couldn't wait to tell TMZ was what you were wearing? What? Gosh. Everything is a me show. Everything is a Blake world. Girl, ain't no way they gave a crap what you were wearing, okay? But anyway, she says they leaked her outfit. Okay, they leaked her outfit. Let me get back to this because I just can't. Okay, so in detail, they described in detail Miss Lively's attire for the deposition, also revealing those who accompanied her, mocked Miss Lively's legal team, and then discussed extensively the Wayfair defendants' themes from their own now dismissed case. You don't know what tabloids are going to say and what content creators are going to think and say and what they're going to come out with. You don't know. It's not, the Wayfair people didn't tell the tabloids what to write or tell TMZ what to write. I mean, everyone was coming out being like, they all had different opinions. And I said last week it was very dangerous that people were giving the narrative that Justin Baldoni just like showed up on the day. He had every right to be there, and Blake knew it in advance. And like, what it's now talking about your wardrobe is an issue. Should we go back to all of your interviews talking about your wardrobes? Okay. Oh my gosh. The narrative created was that Miss Lively needed a large contingent of people with her to testify, while misleadingly suggesting that only Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Freedman were present. No, we knew other people were present too. Like, obviously, Jamie Heath. The reality is that Miss Lively testified across the table from Mr. Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, Melissa Nathan, and Jennifer Abel, all of whom attended this deposition in person, as well as 8 attorneys representing the Wayfair and Wallace parties, 2 of whom questioned her. Wow, what a hero. Good job, Blake. Good job. And they really are mad when he said that she should take her deposition. We could sell tickets at Madison Square Garden, because they brought it up again. They brought it up again about his conduct leading up to the deposition, resulting in the court granting a protective order governing the location and attendance of the deposition. To be clear, Ms. Lively's deposition transcript should remain confidential and under seal unless and until it becomes the subject of a legitimate filing. Well, it was already filed, so that's probably legitimate. But filing the uncertified rough draft of the deposition transcript when it serves no legitimate litigation purpose is disrespectful to the types of allegations at issue here and the litigation process. It harms harassment and retaliation victims like Miss Lively, who already bear physical and mental health consequences from the underlying incidents and are forced to repeatedly relive the trauma through litigation, including court filings, depositions, and court testimony. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't, girl, because you filed your CRD complaint. You knew you were going to have to go through deposition. You knew you were going to have to go through litigation. You knew you were going to have to take the stand if we get to trial. You knew what was going to happen. If you didn't know, then if your lawyers are dumber than I thought, okay. I mean, I think they are really good lawyers because they're shady as hell and can get around anything and everything. But you knew. You knew. So you're not, oh gosh, oh my gosh. Ugh. There was no retaliation, Blake, okay? And people are having a hard time even believing the harassment part, let alone the retaliation part, okay? I can't wait till one day you just wake up and come to terms with the fact that there was no retaliation, sweetheart, okay? People weren't messing with you. And in this case, also through seeded press and social media gossip and scrutiny about her confidential testimony, thanks to the Wayfair defendants. It's under seal. Again. Such tactics also have an untold chilling effect that serves to silence other sexual harassment victims. Don't bring other victims into this, sweetheart, okay? Last straw. Last straw, because don't ever, ever speak for other victims ever again. Again, there are real victims out there, and you are not one of them. Oh, but Michael Gottlieb is on a roll today. Counsel for Blake Lively. Yeah, he is getting paid moolah. Okay, he's probably going to make millions off Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. But they filed a 25-page motion letter for sanctions against Bryan Freedman, even though all of the other letters that were filed were from Kevin Fritz and other attorneys, like Elaine Garofalo. So it's just so nuts, but yes, okay? They are asking for sanctions against defendant counsel Bryan Freedman. Ms. Lively respectfully submits that the court should impose sanctions against Mr. Freedman as a consequence of his relentless media campaign to harm Ms. Lively's character, credibility, and reputation. For these reasons and those set forth in more detail in the accompanying memorandum of law, the court should impose sanctions on Mr. Freedman. Really? Because, you know, the content creators who you actually actively harassed, intimidated, bullied, and tried to silence, they wanted sanctions too. But you know what you did? You withdrew your subpoena so that they can't get sanctions, right? Because it's no longer in the court. Boo-hoo. Sanction yourself. And what's so crazy to me is that the motion or the letter for sanctions comes after Judge Lyman gave his opinion and order on the subpoena to Freeman, Liner, and Tailman Cooley. And like everyone thought, it's not going nowhere. You don't get to just subpoena the opposing counsel, okay? This whole letter has to do with Liner, Freeman, Tailman, and Cooley LLP moves to quash the subpoena issued by Blake Lively. For the following reasons, the motion to quash is granted and denied in part. The subpoena seeks documents for use in Lively versus Wayfair Studios, a case pending before the court. The subpoena was issued by this court, which is like crazy because why are we issuing subpoenas that you know are you're just going to like allowed to be quashed? I don't know. Anyway, Lively filed an amended complaint on February 18th, which alleges that the retaliation campaign against her continued after filing her original campaign. She alleges that much of this phase of the campaign has taken place in the form of statements by defendant lawyer Bryan Freedman. Lively identifies 8 specific statements made by Freedman outside of court proceedings in the time period from December 2024 onward that she alleges are false and defamatory, and claims on information and belief that defendants approved and authorized Mr. Freedman to publish the statements as their agent. She also alleges the defendants continue to perpetrate the untraceable digital campaign and have continued to push the negative and derogatory content about Ms. Lively and her family to content creators, journalists, and others. She claims that defendants' counsel has threatened witnesses, journalists, media entities, and others if they publish unfavorable information about Baldoni or other defendants. My gosh. Although Liner asserts that it was retained as counsel only in December 2024, the amended complaint notes that the Wayfair parties discussed hiring Mr. Freedman as early as August 2024. Then it goes on to say all of the requests for production. There's a lot that they're asking for. They're literally asking for every communication, bank records, communications, all communications. So there's all of these requests for productions, okay? It's pretty cray-cray what they're asking for. Lively's requests for productions fall broadly into 3 categories. Requests 1 through 4 seek information regarding agreements and payments between Liner and content creators. Because Liner largely withdrew its objections to these requests at oral argument, the court denies the motion to quash at to these requests, except in one limited respect set forth below. Requests 5 to 6 seek documents and communications with and concerning content creators in the media more generally. The motion to quash is granted without prejudice as to those requests. Requests 7 and 8 seek information regarding the basis for public statements by Freeman about Lively. The motion to quash is granted with prejudice as to those requests. A court must take special care in evaluating subpoenas directed at opposing counsel. Court have been particularly concerned about the burdens imposed on the adversary process when lawyers themselves have been the subject of discovery requests. A deposition or document request directed to counsel may encroach on the attorney-client privilege or attorney-work product doctrine. Beyond that, a discovery request to counsel can threaten to turn a lawyer into a witness against the client and thereby may burden a party's choice or of counsel. The Second Circuit has instructed that courts must follow a flexible approach to a lawyer depositions, whereby the court takes into consideration all of the relevant facts and circumstances to determine whether the proposed deposition would entail an appropriate burden or hardship. It is true that the production of documents is a more controlled form of discovery than a deposition, is less susceptible to harassment, and may have a lower risk of revealing privileged materials or an attorney's mental impressions. Document discovery is more convenient, less costly, and less burdensome alternate to the depositions. Document subpoenas to counsel may still implicate privilege and workplace doctrine, run the risk of harassment. You're harassing the counsel. Blake Lively, do you see that? The judge put it right in. Harassment. Who's harassing who now? What you're asking for is harassment and interfere with the attorney-client privilege. Yeah, it does. The attorney-client relationship. Requests 1 through 4 seek information regarding agreements and payments made between Liner and content creators. At oral argument, Liner withdrew its objection to request number 1 through 4 with the exception of the unrelated engagement letters, claiming that it had no documents responsive to these requests. The court therefore denies the motion to quash with respect to requests 1 through 4, except with respect to engagement letters that Liner has to represent content creators as clients in legal matters other than this case. The court grants the motion to quash to the extent that Lively seeks agreements into which Liner has entered for the purpose of representing content creators in unrelated matters. At oral argument, Lively suggested the possibility that Liner generally and Mr. Freeman specifically could have funneled money to content creators who were clients of the Liner firm in its form of discounts on legal fees in exchange for the publications of negative material about Miss Lively. Okay, but they're really thinking outside the box here. Like, Brian Freeman is like, hey, if you make one post bad about Blake Lively, I'll give you 1 hour free of my services. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, let's get back to it. Oh, that's a crazy argument. But at this stage, that assertion is speculative, of tangential relevance, and may be tested by discovery from other sources. Lively's claim is that the Wayfair parties authorized and or directed Freeman and others to covertly disseminate negative stories about Lively in retaliation for her complaints. It may thus be relevant whether the negative comments made by Lively can be traced back to the Wayfair parties and their agents. It may be relevant whether the content creators have a relationship with Liner and Freeman and whether they acted at the direction and encouragement of Liner and Freeman. But Lively does not need discovery of the engagement letters of clients of the Liner firm to show whether this was the case. The precise terms of their engagement with Liner and the subject matter of the representations is not particularly relevant, and information about the relationship between Liner and the content creators can be obtained in other ways. Requests 5 and 6. The motion to quash is granted with respect to requests 5 and 6 without prejudice to reconsideration at a later date. Request 5 calls for all documents and communications involving Liner, including on behalf of the Wayfair defendants, concerning digital, online, content creator, or influencer services concerning Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, any of the Wayfair defendants, the digital campaign, or the film. It's just so nuts. Lively has not demonstrated a need at this point to obtain those documents from Liner, and there is a potential risk that the request could encroach on the attorney-client privilege, attorney work product doctrine, or attorney-client relationship more generally. At oral argument, Liner confirmed that if the Wayfair parties asked Liner for the client file, it would provide the file. Liner also confirmed that if Freedman made a written communication to a content creator or to a journalist to shape communications on behalf of the Wayfair parties or within the scope of the representation, and if the Wayfair parties asked for a copy of that communication, Liner would provide it to the Wayfair parties. Thus, many, if not all, of the documents called by Request 5 and 6 should be obtainable through request to the Wayfair parties. If Liner had communications with content creators or the press about the subject matter of this case, these communications would presumably have made it in the course of representing the Wayfair parties and therefore would be available to the Wayfair parties. If for whatever reason, Liner communicated with the press and content creators about this case outside of its representation of the Wayfair parties, such communications would at this stage seem minimally relevant to Lively's claims. Yeah, they are minimally. I'm having a day, y'all. I'm having a day. But to her claims, let's go back to the actual serious claims as any woman would have, and that is the sexual harassment. Isn't, like, as a woman, isn't that what y'all would be fighting for? Like, I just need to know. Like, to me, it's like, if I went through as pervasive and awful as what Blake Lively is claiming, repeated sexual harassment, first of all, I wouldn't have fought my way into the editing room. Okay. I would have wiped my hands of it. Bye. See you later. But with that being said, if I brought it into the court and I'm fighting for my freaking rights, you can smear me all you want. You can try, you can lie, you can come for me, you can smear my name all the way down to the 7 layers of hell. If I know for sure that what you did to me was wrong, the truth is on my side, God is behind me, and the truth and the light will always prevail. And as a victim, I am in the right and you were in the wrong and you should have known better. So smear me all you want. Spend hundreds of millions of dollars doing it, because at the end of the day, I know what is right and I'm going to fight for my rights. That's what this case should be about, is the harassment, the violations, that abuse. Not a freaking smear campaign that doesn't even exist. As to the lawyer's role in connection with the matter on which discovery is sought and in relation to the pending litigation, it is significant that Liner is trial counsel for the Wayfair parties in this case, and the discovery sought concerns press efforts related to this case. Attempts to subpoena a lawyer who either was actively litigating the case or on the other party's behalf, or who was associated with trial counsel, run a much greater risk of intrusion of the attorney-client relationship than subpoenas to former lawyers or corporate counsel. The court grants Lively leave to propound renewed interrogatories or document requests to the Wayfair parties for the documents or communications sought by Request 5 and 6. Yeah, of course, look it over, come back, try something else. You get a second chance. You always get more chances, Blake Lively. If there is a dispute over the Wayfair parties' responses to these interrogatories or related document requests, the issue may be raised with the court, and the parties themselves may raise objections. Absent some showing that Liner has relevant information or documents that cannot be as obtained through a request to the Wayfair parties themselves, there is no reason to resort to a subpoena to trial counsel, given the attendant risk to the adversarial process. Lively has leave to move for reconsideration of this ruling at a later date if necessary, including after the time period set out in Local Civil Rule 6.3. Requests 7 and 8 communications forming the basis for Freedman's allegedly defamatory public statements about Lively. The motion to quash is granted with prejudice as to these requests. The requests seek privileged and work product doctrine information that has little relevance to Lively's claims. The attorney-client privilege protects confidential communications between client and counsel made for the purpose of obtaining or providing legal assistance. Also, Brian Freedman going out and defending Wayfair and calling Lively a liar and saying that I'm defending my counsel, has little relevance to Blake Lively's CRD complaint. Any lawyer, whether it's Brian Freedman or they would have got any other counsel, would have done the exact same things just like Blake Lively's lawyers talking to the reporters and going on CNN and going on TMZ and talking to people in Variety and stuff. And hello, who went to the media first? The New York Times article is how this whole thing even started. So don't project now that Brian Freeman going on the Megyn Kelly freaking show is the same as Blake Lively working for months alongside the New York Times to fabricate that huge story that the New York Times even said that they went through thousands of text messages, blah, 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 blah. Who's using the press more? It started in the press by Blake Lively and the New York Times. Lively's request for documents and communications reflecting any communications with any source that provided you information relating to or that formed the basis for Mr. Freeman's public statements regarding Ms. Lively's targets information squarely within the attorney-client privilege and work product protection. Freeman's allegedly defamatory statements are to the effect that Lively is a liar and the allegations in her complaint are not true. Where's the defamation? He's the opposing counsel. Hello? One obvious source of information forming the basis for Freeman's statements, that would be communications made to Freeman by his clients in the course of seeking legal advice. Such communications would be privileged. A second source would be discussions with potential witnesses contacted in the course of the investigation, the allegations in Lively's complaint. Documents reflecting such discussions would generally be attorney work product. Moreover, the relevance of such documents and communications to Lively's claims is uncertain. Lively does not assert defamation claims against Freeman personally, but against the Wayfair parties. The knowledge of the Wayfair parties is thus of central importance. If the Wayfair parties believe the statements were false and authorized or approved their making, they could be held liable regardless whether Freeman himself had a basis for believing the statements were false. And this just brings me back also to, Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan being able to walk free of this and all of the things that especially Ryan Reynolds, what he did and how he, called Justin Baldoni a sexual predator, had him fired from WME, made fun of him in Deadpool and Wolverine and all of that stuff. That's not defamation. You were able to just walk away because he was speaking truth on behalf of Blake Lively that he thought was true. So isn't that exactly what Brian Freeman is doing for his clients? Make it make sense, guys, because I think right now they're just grasping at straws. It looks like unhinged behavior. This looks crazy. The statements alleged to the defamatory relate to the events as to which the Wayfair parties, primarily Baldoni and Heath, were participant witnesses. They would not have needed the witness interviews of Liner to determine whether the statements made by Freeman were true or false. They had direct knowledge of the events of which he spoke. And even assuming that another witness told Liner that Lively was telling the truth and Liner relayed this to the Wayfair parties, it would seem minimally probative of the issue whether the Wayfair parties believed Lively was telling the truth. Given the low relevance of information of Lively's claims, given the low relevance of the information to Lively's claims and the clear risk of encountering privilege and work product doctrine, requests 7 and 8 constitute an undue burden and must be quashed. The motion to quash is granted in part and denied in part. So you would think, okay, leave Brian Freeman alone. Leave the opposing counsel alone. Enough is enough. Stop bullying and harassing them. You would think that would be the end, right? Because the judge made an order on it, an opinion on it. But no, Blake Lively today filed for sanctions against Brian Freeman in this 25-page document. I haven't read the whole document, so what we're going to do is just read the introduction, and then in a shorter video tomorrow, I'll let y'all know exactly what happens, okay? If there's anything relevant that I think y'all should see. But just in the introduction, let's just go through that. Plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully moves to impose sanctions on defendant's counsel Brian Freeman for repeatedly violating Rule 3.6 of the New York Rules of Professional Conduct, which the court adopted as an order applicable to all counsel on record and susceptible to punishment. Almost immediately following the court's order, Mr. Freeman began violating it and has continued to expose the public and the jury pool to his biased and inflammatory pretrial indictments of Miss Lively's character, credibility, and reputation. The lack of support for his statements appears irrelevant to Mr. Freeman because, as he personally explained to this court on February 3rd, in these kinds of cases, once someone says something, it becomes fact. Mr. Freeman's pattern of prohibited attorney statements warrants the imposition of sanctions. Despite his enthusiastic endorsement of the application of New York Rule 3.6 to this case during the February 3rd hearing, Mr. Freeman resumed publicly slandering Miss Lively's character and credibility within a matter of days, including in friendly interviews conducted by his former clients. On February 5th, I think it was just one client, right? Megyn Kelly. And then also, like, he went on TMZ. And I think other than that, it's just been statements, like written statements, no actual face-to-face interviews. Yes, I believe he went on Megyn Kelly twice and then also on TMZ. So, but their lawyers went on TMZ and they've been on CNN. So Bryan Freeman can't go on Megyn Kelly, but they can go on CNN. I mean, guys, it's just nuts. It's just, this is really a hissy fit. This is kind of crazy to even be asking for yet again, but here we are. On February 5th, Mr. Freedman, okay. On February 5th, Mr. Freedman appeared on TMZ to discuss the court's order and whether Miss Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds would try to avoid a deposition, and stated that he hoped he would get sanctioned as a result of the interview, but that he was sure you guys will indemnify me, so we'll be good. In the following weeks, Mr. Freeman had repeatedly made public statements attacking Miss Lively's character, credibility, and reputation, stating, for example, that she is afraid to the truth and has been testifying since the moment she auditioned for this part. Is obviously uncomfortable with the truth and is privileged elite who has been abusing our legal system to cover up for the self-concocted disaster she initiated. During one interview conducted by his former client Megyn Kelly, Mr. Freeman made numerous disparaging comments about Miss Lively, while Miss Kelly referred to Miss Lively as a bitch. Through his comments, Mr. Freeman has sought to advance 4 themes designed to attack Miss Lively's credibility, character, and reputation. Miss Lively, 1, is a liar who is afraid of the truth and cannot be believed. 2, is a person of bad character, namely a privileged elite and bully who is manipulating the justice system, in contrast to Mr. Baldoni, who Mr. Freeman proclaims is a person of good character who should be credited and supported. This is what happens when you get into litigation, whether you're the victim or not, whether you're the defense or not. This is what happens. You get torn apart. I mean, Blake, ask any real victim who comes forward. The system is broken like that. You really get questioned about everything about your character, everything. Okay, look at what just happened to EM with the hockey players. That's a victim. That's a survivor, and still wasn't believed. Okay, this is what happens. It's not good. I'm not saying that it's great, but this is what happens. Didn't your lawyers warn you? Like, this is going to be a very big public. What did you think was going to happen when you ran to the New York Times? You didn't think people were going to look into you? They were all, what? Like, Bryan Freeman's just defending his clients to say that, like, you are a privileged elite and a bad character and a bully. Number 1, show me the lie. Show me the lie, right? Okay. 3, oh gosh, manufactured her sexual harassment and retaliation claims because, in Mr. Freeman's view, she could not accept the public's organic response disapproving her, ignoring a curse that Miss Lively's retaliation claims are based on his client's own written words in dozens of texts and emails. And 4, cannot be believed because her husband, Mr. Reynolds, made an appearance on Saturday Night Live during the course of this litigation. All of this is improper and sanctionable. First of all, he didn't just make an appearance, okay? So let's not downplay Ryan Reynolds at the SNL 50. He made a joke yet again about your sexual harassment. Again, because, you know, the Deadpool and Wolverine thing calling for an intimacy coordinator, fat shaming you as Lady Pool, and doing all the things that he did in that movie wasn't good enough. So when he stood up at SNL 50, he had to make a joke. And how insensitive of him to even do that, knowing that you allegedly turned down hosting SNL 50 at the beginning of the season. Hello, he's your biggest op. Ryan Reynolds hates you. New York 3.6 forbids Mr. Freeman's unrelenting campaign attacking the character. Like, when was the last time Brian Freeman was like out talking shit about Blake? When was the last time we've even seen Brian Freeman? Can someone answer me that? Like, honestly, what his relentless attacks? What is going on here? This is just such a crybaby. This is crazy already. Because I'm like, we see more about Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively every day in the press. Every day they're out doing something. Every day. They're trying to gaslight us and manipulate us like everything is Gucci and they're like the perfect couple. Girl, what? You're just so mad. I don't know what you have against Brian Freeman, but this just seems personal, okay? This just seems personal. I don't know. Like, maybe, are you mad that he doesn't want to sleep with you too, just like Justin Baldoni? Like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. This has gone to a new level of cray-cray. When I said I don't know how far Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's crazy would go, this is what I meant. Okay. Mr. Freeman's unrelenting campaign attacking the character, credibility, and reputation of both Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds now is the appropriate moment for this court to ensure compliance with New York Rule 3.6. The parties have just completed the first deposition in this case, and Mr. Freeman wasted no time in attempting a public relations stunt, namely by filing the entire pre-reviewed and pre-corrected transcript on this court's docket in a transparent ploy to make the deposition a public event. Oh my God. This is ridiculous. It was sealed. It's not a public event. The public event already happened on July 31st when she went to her deposition. And you know, while she snuck in with 8 of her lawyers and her ops, Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath were out taking pictures with fans. Like, they got nothing to hide. These tactics raise serious concerns given Mr. Freeman's conduct to date of efforts to improperly influence the jury pool by making misleading public statements about testimony. So it's either he put the deposition in the court dockets or he's doing it by speaking publicly, so he can't even file things in the court. He can't do nothing. Sanctions are necessary and appropriate to address Mr. Freeman's infractions and to prohibit further efforts to engage in a public relations strategy designed to malign Miss Lively's character and credibility. For the reasons described herein, the court should hold that Mr. Freeman violated New York Rule 3.6 and the order and impose sanctions under Rule 16F, including by admonishing him against making any future statements attacking the character, credibility, or reputation of Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, and any other party witness in this matter. Can we just go back to the fact, Blake, that you started this by going to the New York Times? Period. Now, I know I would make a shorter video to go over this, but I just read it, and y'all, we're in for a little treat, and this is the perfect way to close out Deluluville Monday, okay? Because it's nuts. And I gotta ask the same question. Ryan Reynolds, why is you here, ho? You're not in this case anymore. So guess what? If the Wayfair people and Brian Freeman want to go and talk all the smack they want about you, you are not in this case. So we'll get into it, but it's a lot about Ryan Reynolds too. So why? I'm just confused. Why? What are you doing here, ho? This is some background information, okay? On January 21st, 2025, Miss Lively filed a letter informing the court that Mr. Freeman had consistently given television interviews, appeared on podcasts, issued inflammatory written statements, and leaked information to the Hollywood press and tabloid media. Miss Lively's case by tainting the jury pool because his statements are deliberately aimed at undermining the character, credibility, and reputation of numerous relevant parties, and likewise includes information the lawyers know or reasonably should know is likely to be admissible as evidence at trial. After the order, Mr. Freeman repeatedly published statements attacking Miss Lively's credibility, character, and reputation. Since the court issued its New York Rule 3.6 order, Mr. Freeman has habitually made violative statements to the press attacking Miss Lively's credibility, character, and reputation. The following list of written statements and interviews is intended only as a sample of such statements, exemplifying Mr. Freeman's most egregious abuses. The content to those statements is discussed further below. So they have exactly where he was. So he went on a show on the 5th of February, 18th, 19th, in March, the 19th and 20th of March, in April, the 4th, in May, and then it ends in June 11th. We are August 4th. So you're saying that Bryan Freedman hasn't been in the press since June, and now you're filing sanctions? Am I the only one that thinks that that's crazy? Then they go into the legal standing of the New York Rule 3.6, which I could break down for you in another video, but for sake of time, let's just get to the arguments that they're making, because this is absolutely crazy. First, they're trying to subpoena the opposing counsel. Now they're asking for full sanctions on Bryan Freedman, and he hasn't said nothing since June. It's August. I don't know what she has against Mr. Freeman. It's just so nuts. This poor man, honestly, is like just getting slaughtered. Every time he turns around, he's getting stabbed by Blake and Ryan. So they're saying that Mr. Freeman has violated New York Rule 3.6 and this court's order. He has engaged in a press tour designed to damage Miss Lively's character and credibility. Specifically, Mr. Freeman has and continues to perpetrate 4 themes designed to undermine Miss Lively's credibility, character, and reputation, which we already went over. Each of these myths standing alone would have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing the adjudication of Miss Lively's claims, and when taken all together, they reveal Mr. Freeman's willful efforts to use the court of public opinion to taint the jury pool. Courts routinely police attorney statements that, like Mr. Freeman's statements, are designed to litigate a matter in the media or to taint the jury pool. What about all of the times your lawyers were in the media? This is so bananas. Mr. Freeman violated New York Rule 3.6 by calling Miss Lively a liar who is afraid to tell the truth. Where's the lie? I mean, just days after the court's New York Rule 3.6 order issued, Mr. Freeman began attacking Miss Lively's credibility with predictions that she and Mr. Ryan Reynolds would likely try to avoid discovery in this manner and were going to probably take some legal actions that are beyond the bounds of decency, as they have. Van Zandt, content creators, subpoenaing the opposing counsel. Hello, this letter right now for sanctions against Bryan Freedman, he wasn't lying. He consistently described her allegations as false, fantastical, unsubstantial, and lacking actual evidence. Yes, he is defending his clients. Repeating his mantra that documents do not lie and people do, Mr. Freeman has attempted to prime potential jurors to believe that Miss Lively had manufactured her claims and is afraid of the truth, which will inevitably be exposed by the actual evidentiary proof, also called the receipts, real-time documents, and video showing a completely different story than what has been manipulated and cherry-picked to the media. Yes, and as we saw all with our own eyes, that's exactly what happened. So, again, where is the lie, Blake? Mr. Freeman has characterized Miss Lively's amended complaint as filled with unsubstantial hearsay of unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward, impermissibly commenting on what the witnesses referred to in Miss Lively's amended complaint will or will not testify to at trial. He has repeatedly suggested that Miss Lively was likely to dodge her deposition, or that Miss Lively's refusal to agree to an immediate public inquisition by Mr. Freeman at Madison Square Garden suggested that she had something to hide. We'll see if they can try to avoid a deposition. If she is suddenly now willing to sit for a deposition, I am available. How does tomorrow morning work for her? I want to see if she shows up. Mr. Freeman insists not only that Miss Lively is lying, but also that she is doing so with pure malice to falsely accuse Mr. Baldoni and to steer focus away from the actual facts. According to Mr. Freeman, Miss Lively is so lacking credibility that she will look at a scene and say the sky is not blue. Mr. Freeman's statements are plainly designed to suggest that Miss Lively is lying. Yes, that's what he's supposed to do. Am I missing something here? That Miss Lively is afraid of the truth because it does not favor her, that witnesses at trial will refuse to appear or will not corroborate Miss Lively's claims, and that Miss Lively has been trying to avoid the scrutiny of sworn testimony. Such statements are not true, but still effectively seed those ideas in the public mind with the intention that they will filter through into the jury pool. Well, girl, you rescheduled your deposition 3 times. What was everyone supposed to think? Mr. Freedman violated New York Rule 3.6 by attacking Miss Lively as a person of poor character in contrast with the good character of his clients. In addition to attacking Miss Lively's credibility, Mr. Freedman has also attacked her and Mr. Reynolds' character, smearing one or both of them as arrogant. Ryan Reynolds is not a party in this case anymore. I don't want to hear about him. I don't want to hear about him anymore. Ugh. He is arrogant. They are bullies. They are privileged elites. And they are cowardly. That's what Bryan Freedman used words to describe them. And guess what? I agree. In Framers, do you agree? Do you think, in your personal opinion, without hearing Bryan Freedman's words, that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are arrogant, bullies, privileged elites, and cowardly? Yes or no? Drop them in the comments. Beyond just name-calling, Mr. Freedman consistently asserts that Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds are Hollywood elites in a position of power who abuse that power to block access to the court system and weaken our nation's constitution. Yeah, when you go after free speech of 107 content creators, that's exactly what happens. And he said this way before. It's like he had a premonition of how evil you guys were and all of the nasty things that you were going to do in order to try to win this case with no proof, no evidence. Still to this day, you have no evidence. Lively's motion to dismiss is one of the most abhorrent examples of abusing our legal system because laws are not meant to be twisted and curated by privileged elites to fit their own personal agenda. For maximum effect, Mr. Freedman contrasts these disparaging comments with his own client's supposed good character and victim status. In Mr. Freedman's words, Mr. Baldoni has really been very fair and not wanting to attack anyone and just wants his chance to be able to prove that he is a good person. In Mr. Freedman's story, Miss Lively has accused some very good people of a smear campaign and accused a terrific young man of sexual harassment. And yet it is Miss Lively who is walking around taking victory laps and victory tours while Mr. Baldoni is taking care of his family and taking care of his loved ones. Mr. Freedman has even gone so far as to compare Mr. Baldoni to Martin Luther King Jr., responding that everyone who believes he is a bad person will be on the wrong side of history. What the F-bomb are you freaking talking about? Because he says that if you don't believe Justin Baldoni, you're going to be on the wrong side of history. You're now comparing that to Martin Luther King Jr. Something is wrong with you, Blake. And Ryan, something is definitely wrong with you. Mr. Freedman's attempt to promote this fictional narrative with Mr. Baldoni as the victim falsely accused by a powerful bully is a transparent attempt to pre-bake the Wayfarer Party's trial themes into the jury pool. Mr. Freedman is free to pursue whatever themes he would like during trial, subject to the rules of ethics, procedure, evidence, and this court. Mr. Freedman violated New York Rule 3.6 by claiming that the source of the retaliation campaign Miss Lively has challenged is one organic response to Miss Lively's poor reputation and character. Mr. Freedman has repeatedly accused Miss Lively of fabricating claims of sexual harassment and a smear campaign because he says she is unable to accept that the public just does not like her. Mr. Freedman has claimed that Miss Lively finds herself in this self-concocted disaster and as a result of organic backlash she received due to focusing on her hair care and alcohol products instead of properly addressing the survivor community when promoting It Ends With Us. Ain't that the truth? That's what everyone around the world, Blake, has been echoing. I think she couldn't sanction the content creator. She couldn't sue us. She couldn't even get her subpoena. She withdrew all of the subpoenas. So now she's going after Bryan Freedman because everything she's saying that Bryan Freedman said, I've said, and over 100 content creators have said. Okay? Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I'm clocking it, Blake. You're out there. Okay? You're out there. We're going to have to see those medical notes, sweetheart, because I think I think you have some serious issues upstairs, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I think something's not right. This theme, of course, reflects the core public relations strategy that Miss Lively has alleged the Wayfair parties launched against her in August of 2024. Parroting his client's retaliation campaign, Mr. Freeman has declared that Miss Lively does not need discovery to find out who smeared her. Just a mirror will do. Then he goes into the Megyn Kelly show where Megyn Kelly called her a bitch. And even in his answers, like he just says, to believe that somebody could actually not like her based on her own conduct, I think that was something that she couldn't handle. Whether that's an interesting narcissism quality or not, I don't know if I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you the result was her screwing around trying to blame someone else for her own behavior seemed to be the cause of people not liking her. Period. I mean, what's the problem? He is allowed to fight for his clients. This is getting out of control, and I hope Judge Lyman puts a stop to it and sees right through this. This is abusive. This is harassing. This is crazy. Mr. Freeman's contrived narrative insisting that the public backlash against Miss Lively is exclusively the result of Miss Lively's own character and reputation is improper and designed to sway public opinion. How do you know it's improper? Nothing has been proven yet. He believes it to be true because he has clients who told him so, and his job is to defend his clients. Nothing has been proven yet, so maybe everything that Brian Freeman has said is the truth. How? What? It's improper, and it's designed to sway public opinion and therefore future jurors against the actual evidence being produced in discovery. That evidence, like the evidence already contained in Miss Lively's amended complaint, demonstrates the patent falsity of Mr. Freeman's insistence that Miss Lively's reputation prior to the release of the film was responsible for the almost instantaneously and vitriolic backlash that Miss Lively immediately after the film's release. For example, Miss Lively recently received, after litigating a motion to compel its production, then we don't see it, but I think it's an email. And this is just one email among a mountain of other evidence. Ooh, let's see what it is. It is readily apparent based on communications between the Wayfair parties included in the pleadings that they are engaged in a retaliatory smear campaign. What I'm saying is that yes, they definitely did some stuff on social media. Yes, they definitely were pushing out pro-Justin content, pro-Wayfair content, pro-Survivor content. Absolutely. Was it retaliatory? No. Was it defense because they were being attacked by Ryan and Blake? Yes. They are totally allowed to defend themselves, especially since Blake cut them out of the movie, especially since she had them sitting in a basement, especially since she replaced Justin at Book Bonanza and stole the movie and showed everyone, even though Sony told her not to. They didn't know how far the crazy was going to go, and now we see that there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling for their delusions. Like, take some accountability. It's not retaliation. It's defense, and it's definitely for your actions in the edited, right? If you would have just walked away from set, none of this would have happened, but you pushed your way in through the editing movie. You took control of the film. You had people fired. You replaced the composers. You took over Book Bonanza. You fought for a PGA credit, even though they have letters saying that they signed that under duress. We can go on. You removed Justin from the poster. You had them sitting in the basement. Blah, blah. It's just crazy what you did. It's crazy what you did. So, of course, they hired people to make sure that your crazy wasn't going to continue. They had to fight something. They were fighting. They were defending themselves. It wasn't retaliatory smear campaign. Mr. Freeman has distorted a seconds-long appearance by Mr. Reynolds on SNL. A second-long appearance where you made jokes about your current sexual harassment suit? Yeah, interesting, okay? Everyone thought it was disgusting, not just Mr. Freeman, okay? And we still do think you're disgusting. We still do. Yep. In which Mr. Reynolds made a one-sentence reference to the incessant publicity prompted by this litigation in an inference that Miss Lively must be lying about her allegations. Shortly after the SNL appearance, Mr. Freeman stated that he is unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation. Name me somebody, because Ryan Reynolds is your biggest enemy, Blake. I don't know any husband that is going out of his way to make jokes so publicly about what you're going through and your trauma. And that's exactly what Ryan did. And we didn't need Bryan Freedman to tell us that, okay? Actually, all the content creators and everyone went crazy about it. And then days later, Bryan Freedman said something. And everyone was wondering if he was going to, like, if he saw it or not. You know what I'm saying? Shortly after the SNL, okay. So that was insinuating that Mr. Reynolds' comment renders Miss Lively's sexual harassment and retaliation claims false. Yeah. A month later, Mr. Freedman built this narrative into his public statements following Mr. Reynolds' successful motion to dismiss. Oh, of course, successful motion to dismiss. By stating that Mr. Reynolds can appear on as many sketch shows as he wants and freely try to make light of his current situation, but we will not stop until he's held accountable for his actions. Mr. Freedman also used the SNL appearance as a way to malign Mr. Reynolds and Miss Lively's characters as compared to his client's moral superiority. Mr. Baldoni is not making jokes about the situation. Our clients have taken this matter and those issues very seriously, notwithstanding the jokes made publicly by the plaintiff and her husband. Mr. Freedman's public statements regarding Mr. Reynolds' appearance on SNL have been part of this lengthy campaign to tar Miss Lively as a liar and likewise violate New York Rule 3.6 in this court's order. This court should sanction Mr. Freedman for violating Rule 3.6 and this court's order. The fact alone is sufficient for the court to impose whichever sanctions it feels is appropriate under the circumstances. Under the present circumstances, Miss Lively respectfully requests that the court find that Mr. Freedman has violated this New York Rule 3.6 order, enter an order sanctioning him for his misconduct, and admonishing Mr. Freedman against any further violations. In addition, because Mr. Freedman's violations were not substantially justified, the court must order Mr. Freedman to pay the reasonable expenses, including attorney fees incurred because of his non-compliance. Yeah, okay. Guess how much she wants? $20,000. Although Miss Lively seeks only a public admonishment and an award of costs and fees at this time, Miss Lively reserves all rights to seek appropriate remedial instructions prior to trial, as well to seek additional sanctions in the event Mr. Freedman continues to violate New York rule. He hasn't said nothing for months. It's been months. Like, what is going on? Indeed, there is serious reason for concern as depositions and document discovery continue that Mr. Freedman will spend the next 8 months seeking to undermine or manipulate the material exchanged in discovery to litigate this case in the court of public opinion. So they think that if he continues to talk to the media, which he hasn't done in months, that he is going to taint the future jury pool, and she's asking them to zip it and make sure that the judge lets them know to zip it, and that Mr. Freedman's plea to the people that'll be the jurors that hopefully they'll be able to see the sky is blue, contrary to Miss Lively's supposed interpretation, demonstrates his intention and willingness to do just that. Lively respectfully urges the court to police these boundaries before irreparable damage is done. Oh my gosh. Second, the court can conclude that Mr. Freedman's conduct is willful because it has been continuing for several months and is part of a pattern of non-compliance, affirming $20,000 sanction for bad faith conduct, considering the attorney's conduct in this case, his previous similar conduct, and the need for deterrence and similar sanctions approved by our sister courts. That is it. What do y'all think about that? That is so bonkers. To me personally, I think it's crazy. I think it's nuts. I think she's losing the plot here. Losing the plot, okay? Because what about, like, the sexual harassment, girl? Like, you can't get to the Wayfair people. You can't get to the content creator. So now you're going after Bryan Freedman. That's what it looks like. It smells like desperation. But we'll see if Judge Lyman puts a stop to it, what he's going to say about this. I mean, are the Wayfair people even going to respond to something so cuckoo bananas? We'll see. But that's everything in the court. So far, they are just fighting. They are battling, and it seems like Blake Lively is really throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping to see like what's going to stick, because she's just attacking everyone. Who is it? You know, first it started with just Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, and now it's just like every single person, including the opposing counsel. My gosh. And here are just a few pictures lakeside. And let me tell you, your girl was feeling herself, okay? When you literally stop caring what other people think of you and spend so much time alone with yourself, loving yourself and filling yourself up and feeling yourself and just knowing that, yeah, I love me. You really, really, really stop caring what other people think of you, and you can just live so freely and just be so happy. And yesterday I was just like in it. Okay, girl, I was in it. Look at this candid shot. This is actually a candid shot. He was like, turn around, do this, do this. And I was just like laughing. And look how cute that picture turned out, okay? And yes, hey, this is such a cute picture. And it's exactly how I was feeling today, knowing that I booked a commercial. I was so happy. And yes, I was there all night until about 11 o'clock. So this is the nighttime city view of the CN Tower, which was so beautiful too. We took a water taxi back as well. And it was just such a great weekend. And then I woke up today and I was even on the phone with my mom thinking, you know, I had such a good weekend. I'm having such a great time. But I can't believe I didn't book that commercial because, girl, don't ask me to come in for the audition. I do the audition. I do the callback. You put me on hold. You ask for availability check. And then I don't hear anything all weekend. So I was just telling my mom, like, it's fine. It is what it is. Like, it kind of sucks, but I'm not going to let it, like, beat me up today. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to feel good. Because, like, I woke up this morning feeling like, what? Like, why not? You know, like, come on. And then went to the gym and, like, literally, like, did not want to go. Did not want to go to the gym today. I wanted to stay in bed all day. I was, like, obviously just feeling, like, a little bit deflated, just a little, you know, and obviously tired from being in the sun all day yesterday. And then I was like, no, we are going to the gym. We are going to make ourselves feel good. We are going to do what's nice. I'm going to go and buy some new lip glosses, you know, and I'm not even kidding, guys. Moments after I'm buying this lip gloss. So like the pharmacy is like right beside the gym. So walk out of the gym, go there. I'm looking for new lip glosses. I find these e.l.f. lip glosses. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm checking out. My agent calls. You booked it. What a gift from the universe after picking myself up and being like, no, we're going to go out today. We're going to go get new lip glosses. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to do what makes us feel good. I get the call right after. I mean, it's so beautiful. But I hope you all had a good weekend. It was a long weekend here today. So it was a holiday today. That's why yesterday I went to the island, had a good time, celebrated. And yeah, we'll see what this week brings. I hope you're having a great Monday. Thanks for being here. Please drop all of your comments about this crazy case because it is taking turns that I could not have ever even written, dreamed of, worked into a story, a movie. Like, what is going on? I feel like now they're bullying and beating up BRYAN FREEDMAN, who hasn't even said nothing in months. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. It is awesome every single time that I get to sit down and be here with you. I love you so much. Take care of yourself. Give yourself an extra squeeze tonight. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.